Welcome back to the Dork Mother. So quarantine is killing me, man. So, people have been making these jokes about how they're gonna have, get chunky from all these quarantine snacks, and that is no joke because I stayed up later last night and I ate some Doritos and drank some beer, which was all past 8 o'clock, which if anybody's watched my earlier videos, that violates my rule. But it's one of those things, you can't leave the house and you can't do any activities outside of binge watching TV shows. So it kind of leads you to, fill that void with food. So that's where I'm at with that. I will say this much quality time with the fam, which I'm not used to, is something that takes some getting used to. There's been a lot of angry words and growling faces, but you gotta do what you gotta do. And the worst part is the other day there was some nice amount of snow, so that leads us to not be able to do anything outside because the plan was to get the kids on their four-wheelers and do some stuff outside. Problem is, once it snowed and it froze, now the big doors on our big giant garage won't open because they slide in a track. And so the whole problem with that is once water freezes down inside there, the tracks don't move. So that's fun. But I'm hoping, because it's supposed to be 50 some degrees today, that maybe they'll melt and get it open. Although it is a mud pit practically at our house. And yeah, so that should be fun. But here we go. I don't know if y'all can see my awesome leopard print leggings I'm rocking here. They are not workout kind, they're comfy kind, but you know what? Whatever, I don't care. So, this whole, trying to work my way up, becoming a YouTuber, and all these videos on how they, these successful YouTubers became successful, is they talk about frequency of content or whatever. And I'm going to tell you right now, coming up with content in a world where you can't go anywhere and you can't do anything, I'm telling you right now, that is some tricky stuff. Like I said, normally I wouldn't make a video of me, working on my glider machine, whatever the hell you want to call this here. But you know what? I'm out of ideas. Like I said, when you can't leave the house, you can't go anywhere, it's kind of difficult to come up with anything that's worth watching. I decluttered the closet. I did a video of stuff that I had thrifted before the lockdown. I'm to the point where I'm like, do I just take a break? But those people that actually do subscribe to the channel and, want to see stuff, it's like, I don't want to leave those people, hanging, and then they're like, well, she shut down, so I guess I'm not coming back there anymore. But it's like, I don't know. Trying to keep my sanity in this lockdown is, it's tricky. Like I said, the husband's job requires him to still go to work. So if I absolutely needed groceries, he could do it. Which it's good in a way and it's bad in a way, because the bad in a way, it doesn't give me an excuse to leave the house. Because, if somebody in your house can get groceries, why not let them do it instead of adding an extra person to go out and get contaminated? And it's like, the Dork daughter gets to be here for an extended period of time, where normally she has to split her time, but since she's not in school, she's here. Problem is, as her school does online school for these kind of situations, and so she's constantly doing homework. And funny enough, my son's school contacted us on Friday and said, hey, guess what? You can come pick up a packet for him for schoolwork. I'm sorry, he's 5. What schoolwork does a 5-year-old need to do that I can't do with him? He knows his alphabet, he knows his letter sounds, he can do math from add and subtract from the numbers 20 and below. So it's he's pretty good for a preschooler. Why does he need to do a packet? I'm pretty sure I teach him more advanced stuff than they do at his school. They're not even through the whole alphabet yet, and it's 3/4 of the way through the school year, you know? I think they were like on the letter Q. It's like, well, come on guys, like I understand it's preschool, but you know, this might be an unpopular opinion, but it feels like glorified daycare. You know, it's like, back in the day I didn't go to preschool, I went straight to kindergarten, and I did just fine. And sometimes I think that should have been an option for him, because he comes home and tells me how bored he is, and you know, like how he thinks that, you know, he could be doing other things or whatever. So it's like, do I supplement his stuff at home? Do I just let him ride it out with the teacher? Because if I supplement it at home and he gets more advanced, is he going to be more bored in school? It's like, I don't know. But who's to say? I get frustrated because he's a dork like me, and he's more, you know, better at the mind stuff than the social stuff. I didn't get good at the social stuff till my teenage years, where I made friends with a guy who was like, I don't know if you can call him the class clown, the social butterfly, whatever, and became best friends with him. And he kind of got me out of my comfort zone and showed me, like, you don't need to worry about what people think about you, and what people say doesn't matter, and just do you, be yourself. And that's where I came out of my shell and started wearing more colorful clothing and dyeing my hair colorful. And I've been trying to instill that in the dork daughter and my son. But you know, when you're that young and that age, it's, you know, hard to listen to. It's hard to hear, or, you know, when it feels like school is everything that matters. So I was also planning on doing some videos of like some thrift flips or flipping some clothes, but you know, none of the things that I had previously thrifted were things that I necessarily wanted to, you would call it edit, upcycle. So my plan was to go and get some other clothes that, you know, were close to fitting but weren't quite what I wanted. And guess what? That didn't happen. Now I have some clothes from my thicker days that I can edit, but I mean, I feel like it's been there, done that. I mean, I've watched a million videos about that, and I'm assuming y'all have too. I mean, I do it on a budget where I use things that are just laying around, so I mean, that's a little bit different, but you never know. The dork daughter wants to do some chop style kitchen stuff, where we take what we have in the house that we wouldn't necessarily use on a regular day and put it all together like the show Chopped on Food Network and make something crazy. But the dork son and my husband are not very adventurous eaters, and they have very particular tastes, and I don't think that would work. So maybe do it when the hubby goes back to work, or, you know, just do it just for me and her, but I don't know. We'll figure that out. But at this point, it's like, yeah, just get my workout on, try to work off that beer and Doritos I've been doing. Because you know what? You've been in quarantine for however many days, and you start thinking about it, and you're like, you know what? I'd really like to get some wine and some beer in my system right now, and some Doritos again, or maybe a big fat lasagna, or a big pile of spicy spaghetti. And part of me's like, you know what? To keep your sanity, just do it. And the other part of me's like, you work so hard for like a year and a half to lose that 90 pounds, and then you're slowly just going to put it back on? Like, come on, what are you doing? I don't know. It's like in the back in the cartoon days, you have the little angel on your shoulder and the little devil on the other shoulder, and once the angel's like, don't do it, you'll be better off. And then the devil's like, do it, you'll be happier in the moment. It's like, I don't know. Like I said, it's always a struggle. You know, like my whole life, like, you know, back, like I said, before I met that guy that I became best friends with, that, you know, he brought me out of my comfort zone. I was a pretty depressed kid, you know. He hit you up with some advice, you know, like I said earlier, the whole thing about not caring what people think, and I know that's hard in the moment, but if I could go back and think about, you know, how much time I spent sad in my room and how depressed I was, and, you know, all the, you know, the sad times and depression that I went through, if I could have just known that, you know, it gets better, and you know, there's going to be a time where those kind of things don't matter, and what you think about you is all that matters. If I could go back and tell myself that, my, you know, 12, 13, 14-year-old self, oh my God, it'd be amazing. But, you know, so back, you know, and I granted back then my metabolism was kicking ass, so it wasn't an issue. But I mean, even back then, I used to, you know, hit up my depression with food. Like, I would challenge myself. Like, my mom would buy, you know, frozen pizzas at the grocery store, and I'd be like, I'm gonna eat this whole Tombstone pizza all by myself. And like I said, back then, when you're active and doing stuff, and you know, your metabolism's good and you're young, it's different. But you know, I can still knock out a Tombstone pizza now. The only problem is it's gonna sit in my hips forever. So I don't know. It's a bad deal. You know, all I can say is, and I know y'all probably didn't come here for advice, but the advice I can give is don't give a crap about what people think about you. You know, a lot of people say, well, you know, in like this case, my hair. You walk down the street and you're like, I don't think I could have people look at me like that all the time and just go, oh. You know what? 9 times out of 10, you know, when I'm out in public, yeah, I might get some side eyes, you know, but I get a lot of compliments too. It's a good conversation starter. And I had a little girl in the grocery store, like the day before lockdown, where, I mean, people were buying crazy stuff, but, you know, at the same time, it wasn't so crazy. And she looked at me, she goes, and then she looked at my mom, Mommy, her hair is pink. And her mom actually asked me how I did it, you know, rather than, oh my God, you know. Or back when I went to the grocery store, and, you know, you wouldn't think that this is the kind of look that grocery stores will, you know, be okay with, which now that I'm not there anymore, they made a rule that you can't have multicolored hair. But when I was there, 9 times out of 10, the compliments I got were from little old ladies. Like, oh, honey, what hair color do you have this week? And I always thought that was really cool. That, you know, little old ladies who you think would be the most, you know, stuck in their ways and, you know, old biddies about it. And you know what? They thought it was awesome. You know, my grandma has embraced it, you know. My grandpa likes to make jokes because the first time I ever dyed my hair unique colors, I had black and white, you know, black and blonde, and he told me I looked like a skunk, which, you know, I love him, he's my grandpa, and I won't get mad at him, but it just made me laugh, you know. But you just gotta do you, and don't be afraid. And, you know, if you want to wear cheetah print leggings out in public, you know, do it at your own peril if they happen to rip out, or if they're, when you bend over, they're see-through, because that's happened to me before. But, you know, just be yourself. Do what you gotta do, and, you know, I hope you all the best. But this has been the Dork Mother, and thanks for working out with me today, and thanks for listening to me rant. And hope to see you soon. Please like and subscribe. Bye.